Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between Tzeentch and the High Elves here on the Arachnog Lair. It's going to be myself with Village the Curseling facing off against Flying Taco, who's going to be rocking Eltharion the Grim, and we are going to be both bringing a whole bunch of heroes. So for my army, you know how I love Chosen. I love elite infantry. So we're going to be going with triple Chosen, and honestly, against High Elves, they're not bad. They will be able to beat most of the low-tier infantry. They'll start to struggle a little bit against things like Swordmasters, and obviously monsters are a bit problematic for them, so like a Star Dragon, but even still, they can hold the ground for quite some time and allow your other assets that you call in to do the heavy lifting. Now, Aecold Hellbrass has always been pretty good against the Elves, and I figured if I'm going Shielded Chosen, he might bring Swordmasters, he might bring White Lions of Grace, so having a dedicated anti-infantry Punisher on the ground to support them would be very, very good. Village is also excellent at taking down archer positions, and a lot of the high elf players I do play against these days really like to use a lot of archers, and also Sisters of Avalorn have been making a bit of a comeback as well. So I figured Village with the Infernal Gateway to just punish those high elf blobs would be very, very good. Now, an Exalted Hero of Tzeentch up in the sky. He is going to be on his disc, and I do have the Book of Secrets, so we're going to be RNG rolling to see if we can get those sweet Fate Abunas, but you never get it when you want it. So we're going to be seeing if we can this game. And then on the other side, we do have a Zangor. For Taco's army, he's got Reavers and a very scary Air Force. He does have Caradryan, and Caradryan is going to be using the Captain of the Phoenix Guard ability. No, he's not actually. So using the Phoenix Blade for damage, which gives him bonus first large, even more than he already has. He does have the Attuned Magic, and also has his Blizzard Aura and the Mark of his Saurian, which is a Mortis engine that when he's below a certain health threshold, he gets like one of the strongest Mortis engines in the entire game. Up in the sky, it's going to be Eltharion the Grim, and Flying Taco really going for a build in which he's looking to control the skies. And Tzeentch is a faction that loves to play Air Force, like Changebringers, Exalted, not Keeper of Secrets, but Lords of Change. So having a Star Dragon and Eltharion basically guarantees he's going to win the sky fight because of Tempest. Zangor's here getting hunted, Ship's Company coming up, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be it. So the battle is on, and the Star Dragon going to be looking for its prize. My Exalted Hero of Tzeentch was certainly not happy about the situation. He's alone in the sky versus 3 absolute Punishers, but he's incredibly fast, can hit and run. He does have the regenerating shields, and is probably going to be a very useful asset over this game. So I do manage to get Objective 3. The Grim Warden going to be coming down here and casting his glorious Mistwalker's Bombardment there, so he does get that. And the Zangors get pounded, losing a fair amount of HP, but overall it looks like the Grim Warden is going to be running away, and the Zangors are going to be terror-routed. Zangors would make very quick work of Ship's Company, so certainly something that he needs to deal with on that side. Now here, I'm going to leave one Chosen on the low ground, which is a super hard unit to get rid of. Even if he sends a big AP monster after them, there's 60 melee defense, super high HP, and also Protoss shields. So essentially, these guys have 10.4, but they have an effective HP if you add that extra 1,000 of quite a bit more, which is very, very good. And the Marauder Horsemen of Tzeentch are going to be my big MVPs. Caradryan does have 80 armor, but these guys do have the Warp Flame ability, which lowers armor by 10, which isn't insignificant. It certainly can help. And we're going to be throwing at Caradryan a little bit, but Flying Taco is going to dodge most of those shots. Being a seasoned veteran of Total War Competitive, he's going to know how to do that. And the Zangor is still getting attacked by the Grim Warden. He's really staying over here to make sure he can finish the job, taking a little damage himself, but honestly nothing significant, as the poor Zangors do continue to get bullied. But, someone had to pay the price here. All right, so moving on up, we do have Aecold Hellbrass and the Double Chosen heading towards Objective 2, and the Star Dragon is just waiting in the wings. He's hoping for me to sit still with the Chosen so we can get a breath attack, and Village is going to be getting hunted by Caradryan using the Phoenix Blade, so kind of scary, but Village is a tanky fighter too. And when Caradryan kind of sits down here, we are going to be turning about face and getting the Marauder Horseman to throw into him, so at the end of the day, we actually pull ahead a little bit in that trade. The Exalted Hero chasing after the Star Dragon a little bit, hoping that I can get some damage, then run away, let the shields regenerate, kind of really, really utilize those shield mechanics. Tzeentch, a very, very fun faction to play. They're freaking awesome. Exalted Hero up in the sky, battling the Star Dragon. Star Dragon taking a little bit of damage, and he hasn't gotten through my shields yet, and I am able to get a little bit of supporting fire as well. So that trade is great, right? He did about 800 damage into my shields, or whatever the hell it is, 700, I think, with these guys. Let me check. 600. Okay. And then it just regenerates, depending on how, careful I am. Knowing me, I'm going to throw them to the dogs, but ideally you would want to do that. That would be quite good. Low ground Zangors do get bullied, but they are going to be coming back in. They didn't hear no bell, and we do manage to get the double cap. Here he's going to be chasing me, getting a great breath attack into the Chosen over here, so these Chosen do pay the price, but the Ship's Company are going to be super outmatched. You have these 9-foot tall Chadley Chosen versus these Ship's Company here, and they don't even have tall hats. They just got they all have the same haircut. I guess uniform makes some sense, right? Military, people having the same haircuts and outfits and whatnot. But yes, we do call in our hero, the Exalted Hero of Tzeentch, battling Caradryan. Caradryan would win in a straight-up fight, but Caradryan is also getting backstabbed by the heretics on the ground, and we do manage to call in the big boys. So the Doom Knights, the Knights of Immolation, are very good against high elves. They have armor piercing, they have anti-large. They're going to be really good against these cav units, and I need to back up those Chosen. The Chosen are getting slammed pretty hard. Meanwhile, in the middle, the Chosen are going to be very happy. Normally, White Lines of Crace, they would still lose to Chosen of Tzeentch, but they would uptrade reasonably well. But I mix in Village the Curseling, as well as Aecold Hellbrass. So those heroes are going to make very, very quick work of these Elven semi-elite units here. So looking back over here, we do see a Tempest activated on the Exalted Hero of Tzeentch, but every time he comes in, I'm punishing him very, very heavily with these Marauder Horsemen. We managed to get Caradryan down to about 60%, Eltharion the Grim losing HP, the Dragon unfortunately is still very healthy. But the Doom Knights, they do manage to break the Reavers, and now they're going to be battling Caradryan here, and also battling the Narnia lines, and there won't be much of an escape for them. Getting away at this point is probably not really possible. I would take a lot of casualties on the run, so at that point, just commit. Pile them into the fight, get that anti-large, take down the Narnia Lions, and we're still doing HP to Caradryan as well. But more importantly, we're holding those characters in place, which is allowing our Marauder Horsemen of Tzeentch to get the good Javelin fire and really, really wear them down. Back to the middle, looking at pretty solid anchors with the two Chosen are in good health, and the Zangors are being called in. And I figured if I send some Zangors down here with Aecold Hellbrass, I would be in okay shape. Now, Taco obviously experimenting here, calling in Oceanids. Oceanids in general are probably really terrible against Tzeentch because they rely on their physical resist for damage mitigation, although they do have 55 melee defense, which isn't bad. But, the Tzeentch roster pretty much all does magic damage, so that is one unfortunate thing for the Oceanids, but we'll see how they perform over the course of this game. Doom Knights do finally get folded. Let's look at the value they gave in that hard fight here. So they managed to get about 1,000 value, which isn't bad considering they're heavily outgunned. So those guys are going to be running away, getting hunted down, and I should have used some of the bombardments before I went in, but I just felt there was some urgency that needed to be addressed. But Taco is going to be able to get the low ground here, as the White Lines of Crace do manage to move up on the objective here, and Eltharion the Grim and the Star Dragon and Caradryan are now going to be rotating over to the middle. But, what's weird is, loading into this game, I thought I was cooked. Like, when I saw his build in my Elite Infantry versus Dragon monsters, I thought I had no chance, but, it feels like a really even game here, and it is. He's maybe a little bit ahead on value, but also my Protoss shields are a thing, and, yeah, it's going down. So Oceanids, Mortal Kombat versus the Zangors, and the Zangors are going to lose that pretty decisively. And we do see the big man landing here, Eltharion the Grim, going to be duking it out with Village the Cursing, but Village's shields do absorb that charge, and the Chosen going to be making very quick work of the ship's company while my Marauder Horsemen are trying to finish off Caradryan. It hasn't been easy, man. Good breath attack there, kind of a miss actually. I mean, that was the right angle, but it looked like it just kind of landed in a rough spot, so it actually didn't end up being a very effective breath attack. Granted, the angling was good from Taco. Sometimes it just works out like that. Another Tempest going to be activated on the Exalted Hero has been super valuable, and in the back I do call in a Chaos Warrior with Halberds, which are going to be good against pretty much his entire army with the exception of the White Lines of Crace. So those bad boys going to be moving in. I am down to one objective right now, but I do have a bit of a points lead on him, so there's some cushion, and a little bit of cushion for the pushing as the Chosen of Tzeentch move towards this objective, and the Forsaken also happen to do magic damage, are really ripping up Oceanids. So the zero armor, I mean, the only mitigation they're getting right now is... yeah, I mean, they're getting basically none. They're just only getting the melee defense holding up. Their armor is just zero. So rough, man. Oceanids themselves, I feel like, I will die on this hill. I think Oceanids should do magic damage. Not that it would be relevant right now, but in general, I think you give them more of an application. All right, so here we have it. Aecold Hellbrass battling it out versus the Star Dragon and the Chosen of Tzeentch in the middle, getting swarmed up pretty good. We do have the Narnia Lions and these White Lines of Crace, but once again, despite fighting things that are a bit of a soft counter to them, we're seeing how effective the Chosen can be. Not that they're doing crazy value, but man, their staying power is solid. So, full health unit down here. Dragon's looking for a breath attack maybe. Oceanids do get defeated, and looking at the value, relatively even. He has Apotheosis for healing, and I have my regenerating shields. So all things considered, we're probably relatively even in that department. Marauders of Tzeentch going to be circling in and throwing at Caradryan right here, while the Chosen of Tzeentch continue duking it out, and the Exalted Hero back up in the sky. But the scary thing is, guys, Caradryan is going to get his Mortis engine, and he needs to be on the ground for it to be active. But the Mortis engine will come into play, and it's one of the strongest Mortis engines in the whole game. I think it is the strongest one in multiplayer, at least. So now he's on the ground, and check this out. So the Wrath of Asuryan, the Mark of Asuryan, that's 50 to 100 damage a second. I mean, these Chosen are getting absolutely melted, and he just needs to sit nearby. He doesn't even need to be in combat. Most Mortis engines have a stipulation where you need to be in combat. There's a couple that don't. For example, his is like that, but then also, of course, Festus. Festus is Harbinger of Pestilence. He doesn't need to be in combat with you. Festus is really easy to snipe. Caradryan has like a huge condition that needs to be met in order for it to work. Now, I do nail him with big magic there. Huge magic as that Infernal Gateway blasts those guys into the Shadow Realm. My Horseman being called in, but running very, very low on ammunition. A couple of Furies did die back here trying to break these Reavers before they got in. And I do use the Book of Secrets. Doesn't get the job done, and the Magic Missile of the Gods going after Caradryan. And at this point, I'm just all in. I'm like, let's go. Let's get Caradryan down here. My Disc Master is on the hunt. Caradryan is getting another Apotheosis. And Taco going to be calling in some Silver Helms in the back. Village the Curseling still bumping and grinding here. Chaos Warriors should be able to defeat a White Lion if Krace is not very healthy. They're numerous, and Chaos Warriors, even with Halberds, are formidable in terms of just like an armor-piercing generalist unit. Halberds basically generally just have lower melee attack as well as slower attack rates. But again, they are really good against large targets. Down here, Aecold Hellbrass is basically being the Walmart Sigvald that he is, and really, really tough to kill. My opponent cycle charging with Eltharion as well as a Star Dragon trying to bring him down, but he is just cackling all the way to the bank. And this is huge for me, right? Because this is occupying the attention of two valuable characters, whereas, they were probably more needed in the fight in the middle, but hard to say. So Knights of Immolation going to be called back in, and once again, they're going to be thrown to their doom as they do charge some Silver Helms, and the Silver Helms will get beaten down pretty badly by the Doom Knights. Ever since Doom Knights got anti-large, certainly have gotten some nice applications in the meta. And I do notice that Flying Taco is looking really weak on Objective 1. So we're going to be grabbing all our Horsemen and our Zangors, and coming down to Objective 1 and getting him in a triple cap. So a game that was looking okay for the High Elves is now looking a little bit Tzeentchian, I do dare say. Knights of Immolation duking it out here. And he still got that monster core though. I mean, overall, he's definitely ahead in value at this point. But here comes a big Vortex. Silverhelm's going to be getting at the Gateway of Tzeentch. So there it goes. The eye opens, and the Eye of the Changer spotting its prey down here as the warp consumes these Silverhelms, and the Doom Knights just fighting happily and moisturized in their climate. So those guys get broken. Doom Knights doing okay, getting about another 800 value from this fight, and probably going to be accruing a little bit more. But damn, those monsters are hard to kill. And him having Tempest really, really makes it a tricky one. And look at this, he's running around with his Mortis engine on the ground, draining down my Halberds here while Village the Curseling tries his best. We do have our Zangors guarding that low ground objective, a couple of Marauder Horsemen lurking, and at this point I can kind of see the writing on the wall. Not that I'm going to lose the game, that, it's going to be a situation where I need to win on points. I was starting to feel the value hemorrhage, and I just couldn't kill that character. I mean, Caradryan just kept living. Even though isolating him over and over and getting these picks, he just keeps squeaking away. Flying Taco has pretty masterful micro, so he will always make those clutch plays here. And I do use another Tzeentch army ability, so he's at 882 HP, and that one does hit him, doing another 200 damage, but Apotheosis active. And this is when I first saw Caradryan. My fantasy situation with him was let's get him in a situation where he's perpetually low but isn't breaking, and you just have an OP Mortis engine, which is so fun. It's a really hard thing to do, but he's certainly earning it right now. Doom Knight's still going, and they're sitting at 1900 value. I do have some Zangors down here. We're approaching 1200 points. It's obviously a situation where my opponent does need a triple cap, and we are going to be running away with old Village right now. Village is on the run, getting hunted down by the Monster Mash Squad, the Monstars, Eltharion the Grim and the Star Dragon trying to bully him. But those foot characters of Tzeentch, especially the ones I brought, very, very tough. So back here, these are the boys that are going to be preparing for the Helm's Deep. We have Aecold, Forsaken, and Chosen hanging out over here. Meanwhile, the Horsemen just running some interference, and I do sacrifice a unit of Horsemen to get in there and let Village live. Because if Village dies, it's pretty much a game loss for me. Because what's going to end up happening is my army's leadership is going to be so fickle, he'll terror route me off all the objectives. So I really need Village to live. Exalted Hero lands. I do resummon him, and he's going to be chasing down Caradryan, trying to get him, but Caradryan up to about 1100 HP again. While the Marauder Horsemen are starting to break, a couple of Furies, I'm going to be sending them over here, and I'm realizing this is pretty much a lost cause over here. At this point, what we're going to do is we're just going to let the Zangors, fight as long as they can. The Zangors are going to get run down, they're going to get charged and overwhelmed, but they will buy me some time, and I just need to get my characters out of here. So the Exalted Hero is going to go on an escape path. He's going to circle away and fly up and around, and this is where our last stand happens. So 2 Zangors coming, but Taco knows this. He's going to be sending down White Lines of Krace, as well as Ship's Company, to try and bully me off that point. Thankfully, Aecold is there. I really was wishing I just left Village over there. Village fighting a hard fight and doing pretty well, but damn Caradryan, man, he's still got that Mortis engine effect. Absolute raid boss here. Star Dragon heading across. Exalted Hero of Tzeentch going to be running, and I'm just using my Furies to chase down whatever scraps I can and try and buy time for the final stand here. So we're going to be approaching 1400 points, but Taco does have a lot of capture weight coming in. He's got 5, 10, 15 capture weight right here, and I have 5, this is probably 10 here, 13 capture weight, so he does have more capture weight inbound. I, of course, have the Furies, and it's going to be time for... He's the one who needs to capture it, and while he's capturing it, I'm still getting points, right? So Village is going to be waddling over, and the Exalted Hero is going to be trying to intercept Caradryan again. I do use the Tzeentch Army ability, and it does miss him, which felt pretty bad. But Caradryan at 800 HP, and this Exalted Hero has been really good this game. He's been able to be a real menace, kind of poking some of the monsters. But the fight is on. Zangors and the remnants of the Chosen, as well as Aecold Hellbrass, going to be making their last stand here, and will we be able to hold it? It's going to be a really, really tight one. But Aecold, always an MVP. I really, really like using him in Domination. Pretty great. Ships Company coming in, going to be using Chaos Furies to intercept what I can, but those are Silver Helms, and sacrificing Marauder Horsemen on the point is going to be the game plan. I had nothing to really call in my Chosen. We're all still on the field with a little bit of HP, so a bit of a mistake not unsummoning the Chosen, but we finally break Caradryan. He has 75 freaking HP. That man is going to be running. Furies coming in. They're going to be intercepting the Silver Helms a little bit. I'm at 1461 on the points. Furies diving on the Helms to try and break their charge a little bit. Marauder Horseman waiting in the wings. The Exalted Hero of Tzeentch does use the Book of Secrets. I believe he's going to be using it here in a second. And if we get that Fate of Buna, that's going to be incredibly nice. So the fight is on. Capture Weight is going to be going here for Flying Taco now, as the White Lions of Krace do pile in. Forsaken and Zangor is going. But the Book of Secrets finally grants us a Fate of Buna. Right when Tzeentch's minions needed it the most, he comes through in the clutch. As the White Lions of Krace going to be getting slammed by that Buna, and Aecold Hellbrass and the Furies holding. More Horsemen coming in. Capture Weight does come back into my favor. Caradryan into the Mortis engine, though. Going to be scary, but with only 2 seconds left, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't going to be enough. GG. Well played. Now, that was a fun game. I thought I was cooked. The breath attacks, the huge characters, you know, elite infantry usually don't love fighting those type of things. But honestly, they didn't do a ton of damage, but they held super well. And the points ended up winning me the game, so they did their job. Value on the Chosen, nothing too crazy. Aecold sitting at, let's see, 900 here. Exalted Hero did really good at 2,000, and Village did really good. His Vortexes were nasty that game. I had Changebringers, but with Tempest, it's just giving your opponent 1,500 free gold. If I called in Changebringers, I basically just lose the game. But yeah, great match. It was really, really fun. Yeah, and his build was fun. It was great. I think the weakest thing on his build probably was the Oceanids, but they even got about 600 value before they died, so it could be worse. But yeah, Oceanids in general just seem like a bad unit. There's a couple niche matchups in which I think they might be okay, but in most matchups, I think there's just better options. All right, guys, GG, well played. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Very, very close match, and we will see you all on the other side, ladies and gentlemen.